True or false? People notice your shoes. True.
In the last year, we've moved over 40,000 pairs of shoes.
That's what I like about shoes. They protect my feet.
So there's a lot of people that have been helped.
When I go up and down the stairs, or I'm running down the street.
One pair of shoes sold at $5 can feed up to 2 people with 1 week's worth of groceries.
Yes, it's true. That's what I like about shoes. That's what I like about shoes.
Shoes can lead to food.
This is Good in the Hood podcast. Our conversation today is with Shawn Morrison, the Executive Director of Good in the Hood and Senior Pastor of Cedar Crest Free Methodist Church.
Shawn, let's talk a little bit about your passions. How did you ever get into the world of nonprofit? I mean, what makes you tick in that aspect?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Larry. For me, what really made a difference was I had a heart to help people, of course, and that's usually how people get into nonprofit work or ministry. And I wanted to do it in a practical way. I saw a lot of people that were doing things that were ministry-oriented, but they weren't necessarily useful. I wanted to show God's love to people practically, not just proclaim it with my lips, but I wanted to show God's love with a practical example, and not only that we would do for people, but we could do with people. It was to engage others in good work, because I believe one of the best things we can do for someone is to help them to become engaged with a sense of purpose. And when I think of purpose, I think of trying to find the center of someone's interest, the center of their joy, and the center of what they're most proficient or have the most proficiency. If we can triangulate those 3 things, they have a sense of purpose. And like anything, when we have a sense of our purpose, we feel good about it, and we're able to move forward, and we're able to emotionally connect with it, and we're no longer just living lives that are static, or we're no longer just existing. We're actually, what I like to say, living.
Well, one of the nice things that I can actually say about you is you don't wear God on your sleeve. In other words, he's not just a Sunday God, but you live him out throughout your daily life, which really makes a good leader for any kind of situation, but especially for the kind of nonprofit that you run. Good in the Hood has many different programs, and we've talked about some of them here already, but I want to focus in on today on the Shoo Away Hunger. What is Shoo Away Hunger?
Shoo Away Hunger is a fun social enterprise program of Good in the Hood. And when I say social enterprise, what that means is it's really to drive revenue for us, but it's to do it with compassion-based provision, meaning we want to provide quality footwear to those in need instead of just giving handouts. We want them to have some kind of shared contribution. So we ask people buy our shoes for a suggested donation, and usually we suggest $5 per pair. Anytime we sell a pair of shoes, then the proceeds go to help pay for groceries towards our hunger relief programs that serve over 3,000 people every month with groceries. One pair of shoes sold at $5 can feed up to 2 people with 1 week's worth of groceries. So it's a very powerful thing. I like to say, just to kind of coin a phrase, is we run a nonprofit on a shoestring budget.
And people gather these shoes, they go through their closets, they bring them to you or whatever. How can people, besides going through their closet, for example, how else can they participate in Shoo Away Hunger? Can they bring in their church community or a neighborhood association? How does that work?
Of course, cleaning out your closets, it starts with just the single individual person doing that. But then it can go beyond that. And so they can connect with Shoo Away Hunger in many ways. But one is to clean out their closet. The second level then is to get their place of business, their school, their church or place of worship to be involved by doing a community collection or a shoe drive, as we call them. And then all those shoes come to our warehouse in Brooklyn Park. Of course, from that point, we need to sort the shoes. So we need help advocates to come and volunteer as shoe sorters. We get different levels of quality of shoes. We get the great shoes. Those are the ones that go on our mobile thrift store shoe bus, and they sell for $5 a pair. About 40% of our shoes are the great version. About 30 to 40% of our shoes are what we call good, and those are ones that just get wholesaled, and we need those sorted from the great ones. And then I call the third level, which is our bottom level, the ones that probably can't be worn or used. They're the ones that we call the grind shoes. They get ground up into things like furniture filler or repurposed so that we keep them out of landfills. So we have the great, the good, and the grind.
Now, Shawn, who would have ever thought that an old pair of shoes has such great value to feed people in our community?
Well, it's certainly a wonderful thing to be able to see that shoes can lead to food. I don't think that we naturally would have thought that, but when we were trying to figure out a way or determine a way to fund our food shelf, we had to come up with some kind of social enterprise. We were noodling around and we were kind of developing a thing where we were collecting clothing and monetizing that. One day somebody came up to me and said, well, you can make a lot more selling shoes. Well, it didn't take me long to figure that out, that shoes are worth a lot more and they're a little more space efficient. So you don't need as large a warehouse as we did for clothing, and it's just a lot more efficient all the way around. And what I didn't realize is how much need there is out there for a good pair of shoes. People can't afford them. So we go to a lot of places where there's people in need that are poor or economically disadvantaged, and we're able to help people to get a pair of shoes that fit. That's a really key thing. Schuler Shoes has been wonderful in helping us to understand how to fit shoes right. But just because someone's poor doesn't mean they don't want name brand shoes. Kids want to have name brand shoes, and we get some of those, Schuler shoes, Red Wing shoes, we get muck boots, and various things that are name brand shoes, and a good quality pair of new shoes or very gently used makes a big difference for someone in need, and it gives them joy and a smile on their face.
Well, the next time we get together, we're going to talk about some of those partnerships and some of the ideas behind the mobile shoe store and how that works and all of that. But before we go, if you can tell our audience exactly how many people have you helped with the Shoe Away Hunger program?
In the last year, we've moved over 40,000 pairs of shoes.
40,000 pairs of shoes. Is that 40,000 pair of shoes going to people wearing the shoes, or is it some of the grind shoes, or who gets the 40,000?
It's a combination, but about good 15,000 are probably been moved through our bus, and that's people that are actually wearing the shoes, and then some are wholesaled, and those probably another 15,000 have been wholesaled. About 10,000, I'm estimating, have been ground. So there's a lot of people that have been helped. Wow. And the good shoes typically go to thrift stores. So when we say the great shoes, these are shoes that are not your typical thrift store level shoes. They're higher level. So the ones that go on our bus, people are really pleased to have for $5.
Helping others and changing lives is at the heart of Good in the Hood. If you'd like to know more about this value-driven organization, please visit goodinthehood.org.